I'd like to call to order the October 11th, 2023 special meeting of the Common Council, the Committee on Administrative Finance and Law. The time is now 6:01 p.m. Ms. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Thompson.
Present.
Alderwoman Costa. Alderman Ayalon.
Here.
Alderwoman Sanchez. Alderman Segarra. Alderman Skirpo. Alderman Smedley.
Present.
There are 4 present. There's a quorum. Also seated is Alderman Dyson, Alderman Pabon, and Alderman Malinowski, and Alderman Russell.
Thank you. All right. The tabled item on the agenda is item number 36222, 15-year tax assessment modification agreement with Avon AT 102 LLC for 102 West Main Street. May I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman Smedley.
I make a motion to remove item 36222 from the table.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. Okay. Motion to remove item 36222 from the table made by Alderman Smedley and seconded by Alderman Skirpo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, ayes have it, motion carries. The current motion for this item is to refer to the full council with a neutral recommendation. Do I have any discussion on this item?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman Smedley.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution, and I would like to change the wording in the 7th whereas section from $700 to $800 per unit, and an escalator from 2% to 4%, and change the years of the term of this tax modification from 15 to 13 years.
Okay, that was made by Alderman Smedley. Do I have a second? Second. Alderman Skirpo made a second. Any discussion on the amendment?
I just want to, Mr. Chairman, through you, just want to thank everybody for coming to the table to negotiate this this deal through the mayor's office, and I look forward to it passing. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none. Discussion on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Any further discussion on the item as amended once? Yes, Alderman Alam.
Well, I wasn't here when it was tabled. Sorry. Could you, first of all, update everybody about what's the new limits and what do they mean to the taxpayers?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Smedley.
Alderman, the item was tabled last weekend because there was a collective idea from other council members who were here that the deal may not have been the best reflection for our taxpayers. We asked that it be renegotiated. It was, and as you can see, the term of the tax modification was reduced by 2 years. The collection of taxes per unit was raised to $800, so that's $100 more per unit, and the escalator was increased to 4%, which will put year 12, 13, excuse me, years 10, 11, 12, 13, closer to what the tax collection rate will be following the tax modification. So this is a deal that is suited in the best interest of the investor and better interest of our taxpayers.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, as I understand now, housing is in shortage and a lot of developers are very interested, very eager to build new units. So I'm just questioning why we need to give any kind of tax relief as our residents are struggling with higher taxes, because of revaluation. Why is there a need to give any special? Anyway, these developers are flocking now to create new units. So why is it that we need to give any?
I think a lot of
If
this,
somebody can explain to me.
I'll do the best I can. I think a lot of this is to keep cost control. I think 20% of the units, if I'm correct, are going to be low income in there. It's,
Higher, 27%.
27%, okay, so it be low income, they're trying to keep the costs down. These investors are putting a lot of money in, so I think we're just trying to get the building built.
Mr. Chair.
Go on.
I also invite Mr. Benjamin up to the podium quickly to help answer the question, but on his way up, Alderman Ayalon, this project is subject to a $4 million investment from the state as well, which requires the affordable or the low-income housing at the percentage that it's at. And in order for those build-outs to occur, the investor does require a tax modification to be able to make the investment work the right way.
Yeah,
Mr. Benjamin.
fairly well. Jack Benjamin, Director of Planning Development. Good evening. Well summarized by Alderman Thompson and Alderman Smedley. What these tax modification deals do is they really help unlock private loan funding to get this project done. So if that pro forma, which you have in front of you, doesn't look a certain way, then the investors won't commit to lending. So what they need to see is long-term positive debt service coverage ratio for them to invest, which is a technical term basically saying that you are solvent in your return on investment to be able to pay the loan back, which you can't do without a tax modification deal. And the bottom line is in any market across Connecticut, if you're building affordable housing, you need a tax modification deal to hedge.
But this is not totally affordable, it's only a quarter, right?
Over a quarter.
27%?
Over a quarter. We're at about 19.6 affordable percentage-wise in the city across our entire housing stock. So this is building at a higher ratio than what our entire housing stock reflects.
So is there a city policy that says that the more affordable unit you provide or percentage, the more tax relief you'll get? Or
It's not
does
a
it
city
happen that way?
policy in so much as the project just simply can't get done and can't get funded without a tax deal that looks like the one in front of you.
Looks like, so are you saying that there's a kind of a standard of a minimum of 13 years? Or what about 6 years? Or what about 7? What is the standard of tax relief that will be acceptable to lending?
So as far as
institutions?
length of term is concerned, that has to, a lender looks at something called stabilization, right? So it's the ability to occupy a certain number of residential and commercial units. And long-term stabilization isn't realized until usually 5 years. Also, the debt service coverage ratio, because of what has to be spent up front on construction, isn't realized until a later date at all. So for the developer to truly be in the black and for there to be a return on investment, the deal has to be longer term.
So longer than 5?
Longer than 13, really, this is bare minimum. We can also do a 10-year deal by right in the enterprise zone. So we wouldn't have to come to council if we wanted to do a 10-year deal.
A 10-year deal?
Yes.
So that's, why didn't you go that way? Then at least we get more tax for the taxpayers.
For the
Right.
lenders, it's critical to see those 13 years. It was critical to see the 15 originally. So 13 is barely getting this project, getting the funding committed for this project, as I understand it.
In the past, and I'm looking at 13, which is half to what some of the deals were given for 26 years. So what happened in the city to change its mind about the standard of 26 years to 13?
It has nothing to do with the city changing its mind. It's on the different types of projects. So the 26-year deals were demolishing and remediating and doing environmental cleanup, and then building totally ground-up new construction. So the amount of site work and the pre-construction activities that had to go on at the site inflated the costs of the development projects. This is a significant pre-construction cost. To make this project shovel-ready, there needed to be reinforcement of footings under the building, which had a significant cost. It's also a shell of a building right now, so there needs to be a lot of frame-out, in addition to 2.5 new stories going on top. So it's not ground-up, but it's almost there. The real ground-up projects that take a lot of pre-construction costs, the demolition, the remediation, that's when we start looking at the 20-plus year time frame.
One last question, if I may. So in this case, I looked at this specific company's background in a simple Google search. I found some serious concerns that they had in a development they had in New Haven. happened probably about 2-3 years ago, where residents were complaining about, facilities that were not well kept, and so I think some inspectors came for this specific company. So when you choose to provide tax relief for developers, do you look at their record?
Certainly, I can't comment on anything that happened in New Haven necessarily. That's not something.
Same company, yeah.
Okay, the developers here who.
Right.
Alderman, without any proof of that printed out, we shouldn't be bringing it
Yeah,
up.
but I'm just saying in general, do you have a policy of looking at the developer's record to see if they will be serving their the renters or whoever, a resident of New Britain, in a quality manner? You know what I'm saying? Are we getting a good deal?
Before I had to underwrite any sort of tax deal or cooperative grant with this developer, I saw what this developer has done in the city of New Britain. So beyond any work elsewhere, this developer has improved properties that he's purchased. He's done some incredible renovations that are in process of really tough projects. So this, when it came to underwriting this, the proof was in the pudding for what's happened in New Britain.
'Cause I'm just saying that because we've seen absentee landlords here, say on Arch Street, a burned down house that, building that, and outside developers. And we've seen in the past, past 20 years, we've seen developers that didn't upkeep their, I wonder if we have a system to keep account of who's accountable, who's not.
It would not be my policy to endorse any project or developer that I thought would present an absentee landlord situation. It would be incredibly doubtful that anybody would do that with a new construction project like this, and especially one underwritten by the state with a state grant.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Alderman Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to my colleague Alderman Ayalon, I don't think we can use the last 20 years of developments in the city. You brought up a development that burned down on Arch Street. That developer did nothing, and it wasn't even a developer. It was an absentee landlord who didn't even live in our city. So I don't think it's fair to use that as a measure for comparison for these new style of investments and the new buildings that are being renovated in our city. Furthermore, if you do your research a little bit more, this investor, the state believed in him enough to fund him $4 million worth of surplus money for the project. And in addition, he comes with letters of recommendation from the delegation, our state delegation. So I again don't think it's a fair measure to compare what you see in the media, which has a lens through it or over it, and the last 20 years of absentee landlords in our city, because the developer is not one of those. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I'd just like to add too, the developer here has been in the city for quite a while, and I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's committed to New Britain, so. All right, any other discussion on this? Go. Alderman Russell?
Isn't it true that tax and reliefs do bring more taxes to the city?
Yeah, so certainly, in just the dollar value, this building will make more tax revenue year over year by far than if it sat vacant or fallow or unimproved. In addition, you have to remember there are 2 commercial establishments in addition to the 79 units. So that's bringing feet onto the street. That's bringing people spending money downtown. Inflating the growth of local businesses, which then in turn pay more in taxes. There's a real multiplier effect to these sorts of projects that can't be overlooked.
Okay, Alderman Ayala?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a statement. Even though I appreciate that there's about a quarter for affordable housing, my concern is from this conversation is that, and I've been on the city council for 6 years and saw a lot of different schemes, but I've never been able to get a response of what's the standards, what is the rationale for giving some tax relief, other not tax relief. Is it You know, you can see here the negotiations under, so I'm simply, I'm going to vote against it because I simply don't understand the rationale for giving this kind or another kind. I got some responses, but I'm still, I don't think we have any standard or any clear way to assess that. I tried in the past to pass a city's ordinance that organizes the, you know, rental, I mean, all the city buying and selling and all this, and it failed. So we're left with, in the dark of what kind of standard, what is a good deal, what is not a good deal. So I'm, Mr. Chairman, going to vote against it. Thank you.
I just like to throw on, this goes back to, if I correct, 1982, the enterprise zone was set up. So this is when the state set it up to allow the cities to redevelop, and that's what we're doing. We're actually getting traction now, so that's where we're going with this. So, all right, seeing no other discussion on this, seeing no other discussion on the neutral recommendation as amended once to the council, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Say, all opposed, for the record, Alderman Elam is a nay. All right, motion passes. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded, thank you. By Alderman, the time to adjourn is 6:18 PM. Thank you.